Hello, friends, and welcome to Support Spotlight, where I'm going to give you a quick guide on a support that I think you might like to try out. We're starting with Omniknight, who I've already been talking a bit about on this channel, but it's because I think he's so good, and this is going to wrap it up. So, first, let's talk about the mindset, because that's going to explain all the items and abilities. When you play Omniknight, you're not looking to be the playmaker. You're not looking to do the damage. You are here to enable your team. You're going to save them, and you're going to heal them. You're going to make it so that they can do the damage and they can make the plays. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. Anytime if you're trying out Omniknight and you're like, I can't remember like what's the best item, what the skill build should be, keep that in mind and try to make the best choice following that mindset. Now for abilities, fortunately, it is a bit cookie cutter if you're going to do this build. So Hammer of Purity, you take that level 1. This is his new ability, and I think it's way better than Degen Aura, which was honestly probably the worst ability in Dota. One of the worst, at least. No one wanted to take this ability level 1, or even like level 9 after you max everything else out. So Hammer of Purity, I think, is a lot better. It has a ranged cast, a cast range, so you can slow someone at a distance and then close the gap to harass them. It made his laning stage a lot better. It does pure damage. It's fairly cheap at 50 mana, does about 87 damage level 1, and so it kind of works out. Nice harass. It's a way to secure range creeps without accidentally pushing the lane with Purification, which is AoE, and so overall a nice buff to his laning stage. But I don't think it scales very well, and so that's why it stays at level 1 for about as long as possible. I think the 1 point is good enough in terms of utility and to get you through the laning stage. You're not here for damage, and so I don't think you really need this. And it doesn't even scale that well on damage. I think Purification scales way better for damage for support Omniknight. Now, level 2 and 3, you're going to take Heavenly Grace. You're not getting Purification anymore because Heavenly Grace now casts on yourself as well. So you use it on an ally, and you both get the effects of Heavenly Grace, but only your main target, so the carry in this case, gets the strong dispel associated with Heavenly Grace. You don't dispel yourself. But you still get the base strength and the base HP regen, so you're effectively buffing both of you up, and that's why we're going to take it level 2 and 3 and even max it out first. In the laning stage, this is really enough. You're going to just kind of like work with these two to get through the laning stage and maybe play aggressive. Level 4, you're going to take Purification, just because I don't think Hammer Purity scales well, but we're not actually going to max Purification till later. Though some people do, but I'm not. I think Heavenly Grace is really good right now, so I've been maxing this first. For your ultimate, you can take it at level 6. There's usually, everyone can right-click, and there's always going to be, well, not always, but almost always, there's like a right-click carry on the enemy team, and so Guardian Angel will eventually be good. But, for example, if the enemy has a Medusa carry, but then mostly 4 spellcasters, Medusa's not really involved in the early game fights, and so Guardian Angel may not be as useful then, and you can skip it to get early levels in Purification instead, and then take it a little later. But it works against towers, works against creeps, so everyone can right-click. It may not hurt to grab Guardian Angel at level 6. It really depends on the game. If you're not sure, just grab it at level 6. Now from there, you're going to max Purification, because I think these two just work really well together. It ends up being about 12 seconds and 14 seconds cooldown, so they just really pan out. Like, you can heal someone and then Heavenly Grace them, which is the ideal order, but sometimes you have to strong dispel them first. So don't worry too much about the order, but you're just going to frequently kite in and out of fights casting these two abilities, and that's why we want it maxed. When it's convenient and you can do so safely, then you can use Hammer of Purity, but its cast range is shorter, and you don't want to put yourself in too much risk to use this ability, because then you're going to be killed, because then you won't be able to cast these two spells. So they should prioritize you, the enemy, and that's why you don't want to put yourself in danger running up to use Hammer of Purity unless it's just convenient to do so or you don't think you'll die. For that same reason, I would not get the Shard Degen Aura. Like I said, not a huge fan of this ability, and it's got a very short range, which means you have to get real close for it to come into play, and that's putting yourself in danger, where you will be killed before you can use these abilities too often in a fight. For your talents, 10, take the Heavenly Grace duration. I think is a lot better. You're not really looking for damage. If you're core Omniknight, sure, but we're support Omniknight here, so Heavenly Grace duration. Level 15, gonna be your hardest choice, but generally Guardian Angel will be the way to go, especially as you get to that late game. Having this 90 seconds will be pretty nice. But if it really is a terrible Guardian Angel game, it's like 5 spellcasters and they all have dispels or something, then you can take the purification cooldown. But generally, this Guardian Angel talent will be the way to go. And then Hammer of Purity, again, not scaling that well, so both right talents from here just to help enable your saving abilities. For items, you can also do something a bit cookie cutter, but there is a little more flexibility here. For your starting items, something like this will pan out pretty nicely, help you survive the laning stage, the salve to heal up the carry, mango, and a stick, or like you can get them separately, but they tend to be pretty good because your spells aren't very expensive. You just have a very poor mana pool. And so a couple charges on the stick will probably be 1 spell cast, maybe 2 of your abilities. The mango also going to help you a lot here, and so that's why these tend to be pretty good on him. The clarity's not so great because you're a melee hero who's constantly in the lane. You don't really get time to use it. You have the option to go aggressive, pick up an Orb of Venom. I like this build a lot, actually, if you have an aggressive carry and the matchups just make sense for it. The Hammer of Purity plus Orb of Venom combo really well, but it doesn't always work out, right? Some matchups are just not meant for aggression. You're just kind of there to get through the laning stage, and that's where you can do like a safer build, something like this, buy a bit more consumables, and try to get through there. After that, though, you're going to look for mana regen. That's why Arcane Boots and Magic Wand, very safe. Arcane Boots helps you, but also helps your teammates as you try to play a faster paced game. You don't need to go for bracers. You can save some money there because you're getting all that free HP from Heavenly Grace when it casts on yourself as well as your allies. So that's why you don't see him picking these up too often. You kind of rush these Arcane Boots or maybe like some smaller like raindrops, things like that to help your mana, but ultimately getting to Arcane Boots, very common. From there, the Aether Lens just really works out, solves your mana issues, and then gives you that extra cast range to stand further back, get all your spells out. It is not as necessary as it was in the previous patches because you got 200 extra cast range on Heavenly Grace, which is awesome, and that means you can skip Aether Lens, but more cast range also feels great, so still a very good first item for Omniknight. He doesn't really need other saves in like Rushing Glimmer, Force, or Ghost Scepter because he has the saves already in his kit. So he just needs something to help him cast those saves. That's why Aether Lens tends to be a really good buy. And if you don't know what to do, I like Tranquils into this Drums of Endurance because your ultimate is a limited time frame, right? But you're really strong in that time. So you use drums, give everyone extra attack speed, extra move speed, try to crush a fight before your ultimate ends, and then from there, you're very happy, right? Oh, we killed 3 heroes, pretty easy to clean up the rest from here. But you don't have to get these, and in fact, you don't even have to get Aether Lens. Any item you think will help to enable your team, feel free to do those instead. But just keep in mind, you probably need to solve your mana issues first. But after that, you think it's a good Solar Crest game? Go for it. Rush it. First item. I'm fine with that. Vlad's. Not that common, but maybe there's a good case for it, you know? Holy Locket, I actually don't like as even just as an item. It only works on Purification, so I don't think it's that great. It doesn't work on Heavenly Grace. If it did, I think it would be awesome, but it doesn't. So I think the Ethers are a little better, Ether items to enable your team, but maybe you have like a Huskar, all you have to do is keep him alive, and then like Holy Locket can pay off there. But for the most part, I think Ether items to enable your team are a lot better. A different build from Arcane Boots could be Tranquil Soul Ring. That also solves your mana issues, and it's a bit faster because the price of these two is cheaper than the Aether Lens, and so you can work towards your next items, for example, drums, or like a Force Staff, or Solar Crest. You can get started on those a little faster than if you do Aether Lens first. So if you have another fast-paced lineup like Huskar, Beastmaster, something like that, and you think, like, I'm not too worried about dying, I just want to enable my team as fast as possible, then this kind of build comes online a bit faster, and you can start going for drums and stuff like that. Also makes you a little tankier from the stats from Soul Ring. In the late game, you can do something like Ag's Refresher, because it works on buildings, so it becomes really difficult for the enemy to, like, BKB rat you. You probably won't get to the late game on Omniknight, though. Like, too often, you're not very good at farming to get these items, and the meta is really fast-paced right now, and it's kind of what you're playing for as Omniknight. Not that you don't scale well into the late game, but most of your game should probably end before you get to these items, but I'm just going to throw them on there so you have something. If you reach the late game and you've already built like 2 or 3 of these items, you're not sure, then Aghanim's Refresher, not a bad place to just go towards. But in general, just think about enabling your team however you can and base your item choices on that. For neutral items, really anything that helps you solve mana or cast range will be good. So, for example, Arcane Ring, Tumbler's Toy, Keen Optic, or like Philosopher's Stone, mana, and you're a poor farmer, great. Essence Ring, any kind of item that helps you with your own issues, mana, and cast range, or you can use to enable your teammates, like this Bullwhip. Those all tend to be great choices, and you can just take your best guess from there. Besides that, that's kind of it. For bans, I recommend Timbersaw because you're a strength melee hero who combos really well with other strength heroes who tend to be melee, and so Timbersaw wrecks you in the laning stage and throughout the game. Ban that guy. Or anyone with dispels because your ultimate and Heavenly Grace can be dispelled, so like Oracle and Invoker who have AoE dispels, they're pretty annoying to play against, but I find Timbersaw to be the most annoying, so I've been banning him. But if someone else bans him, you could pick anyone with a dispel really would be useful. And now that's about it. So if you guys like this and you want to learn more about Omniknight, I do have another video. You may have already seen it, but I talk through everything I do on Omniknight in that video, so you might find that helpful. And yeah, actually, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.